Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank everybody for coming to City Council this evening, Thursday, June the 3rd. As we always do, we're going to begin by observing a moment of silence and then recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much.
This conference is now starting to record.
This conference will now be recorded.
There you go. That's your cue.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Now that you've all sat down again, I would ask members of the Garden Club to join me up front. We have a proclamation to present to you all.
Pictures behind it. They're going to have pictures.
Yeah, I'm moving over to 30.
I'll move out.
How are you?
Yeah.
You just slide over.
I haven't seen you for a while.
Okay.
I got to take pictures.
Mayor.
How are you?
No, he's got to.
You'll get over here.
He's got to go over there.
Maybe somebody else could come over here, balance it out.
I got a good day.
There you go.
I'm definitely the thorn amongst the roses in this group, so my mother would be proud that I said that. We have a proclamation to do this evening as organized by Mrs. Post here. I have a hard time calling her anything but. She was my 7th grade English teacher, so I still have to call her Mrs. Post. But she reached out to the city about asking for a proclamation to be done for gardening week, which is June 6th through 12th. So I agreed, and so here we are to present a proclamation. This is from the city of Buckhannon. Whereas gardeners have a passion for nurturing the beauty and resources of the earth through the planting of seeds and care of all plants and riches from their efforts. And whereas gardeners seek to add beauty, splendor, fragrance, and nutrition to our lives through the growing of herbs, vegetables, foliage, and flowers. And whereas gardeners work to preserve our country's traditional spirit of independence and initiative through the innovation and hard work. And whereas gardeners advocate the importance of all creatures, large and small, that share our world and their roles in a balanced and productive ecology. And whereas gardening furnishes a challenging and productive activity for citizens, for those just learning as well as for those who have years of experience. And whereas gardening promotes a healthy lifestyle that lasts a lifetime, helps reduce stress from other areas of life, teaches that rewards can come from diligent efforts. And whereas gardening enables members of the garden clubs across the nation and world to make a world a difference in their communities where they reside and work. Now, therefore, I be resolved that I, as Mayor Robert Neal Skinner III of the City of Buckhannon, do hereby acknowledge the importance of gardening and the numerous contributions of gardeners here and worldwide, and designate this week, June 6th through 12th, as National Garden Club Week throughout the City of Buckhannon. So, we appreciate that. I think the council can address if they want to, but I think we all appreciate the efforts made by the Garden Club here in our community. You help make our community a more beautiful place to live, so we appreciate all of you.
And we'd like a chance to say on behalf of Fred Brooks Garden Club that we appreciate the support of the city, in particular Jerry Arnold and Brad Hawkins, who always take our calls to help us. And Mrs. McComas wanted me to mention Fred Brooks Park, which the city helps us care for. And we hope to see some new features and changes there in the future. But again, Fred Brooks thanks the city of Buckhannon.
Thank you. Let's get,
Mayor, if you'll switch places here, just. if you-
Randy's going to direct us so that we
you'll
have a
go over
proper
here,
picture.
And you go in the center here a little bit.
Okay.
And everybody kind of go over a little bit to this side. If you'll, no, if you'll come over here.
Kind of so you're in front of the.
Okay, stand right here.
Center in the seat.
Okay.
Make
There
it
we
all
go.
pretty.
All right.
There we go. Is that better?
The rose among the thorns.
I think it's the other way around. I'm the thorn amongst the roses.
All right, if you all remind to look at me, 1, 2, 3. One more, 1, 2. Okay, well, good.
You're hanging right here. All right. One more. Okay. Good.
All right.
Great.
Robbie,
Who would
can I
like the
say
official
one
copy?
thing?
Sure, Dave.
She will take that.
Arthur Miller wrote a wonderful essay called Rites of Spring. And anybody who likes to garden would love that essay. It's not very long. It was written back in the early 50s, I believe. Rites of Spring.
So you were about 40 years old, wasn't it?
Yeah. Stop it, CJ.
Donna Carpenter.
R-I-T-E-S, Rites of
You're
Spring.
more than welcome.
They have helped us tremendously with Fred Brooks.
I think it's probably the efforts of your garden club that was a precursor to the
Sandra
city's
McCutcheon.
gardening project.
Yes.
Flowers.
We're
So-
going to get to
Yep.
it. That's okay.
Beth will be running
sorry.
us
Long
get up
enough
to right down
to
to
pay
the
attention to.
No, we've had
Yeah.
I know we all did that, but they always.
Your name?
Patty McComas.
Oh, yes, Patty, sure.
I haven't seen Randy.
Yeah. that I can
Now,
remember.
No, they've had.
No.
Beth Coast.
Did they?
Good job.
Did many people How have you been?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Busy, busy, busy.
Busy, busy, busy.
Robbie, can I say one more thing?
No, Dave. Yeah, yes, of course.
If any of you want to practice weeding, come to my house.
We don't need practice.
Thank you, lady.
Thank you all very much for coming.
much.
We are reading experts.
Thank you for what you do.
Enjoy, and you can get out and enjoy what's left of this beautiful evening. Oh, well,
We get out of here today.
This is the kind of rain we needed.
Okay, you gotta lean forward, Dave, so Randy can come.
Oh, the rain just hang out.
okay.
thank you, ladies.
They're all leaving?
Yeah, they left.
Yeah.
They wanted you to come join us for dinner.
Yeah.
They knew you were gonna make some long comments at the end of council, so they.
They wanna get home before dark.
I'm kidding.
How much time? You got any plans later
That's the
tonight?
note she wrote. That's the note she wrote with me. I hope we
You
can
better
get out
call
of
and
here before
cancel
dark.
and reschedule.
I bet they'd love to hear about Metro government.
Yeah.
Poor Dave.
Well, no, you guys will be,
we
someday
can't-
you'll be sorry.
We kid because we love Dave. So.
Kid because we love.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good time. Now we get down to our business. Okay. Under our recognized guests, we have next up Mr. Freddie Suter. Is there anything you'd like to address us with this evening?
Well, I just came to,
If you'll come to the podium, please.
Portland.
If you'll come to the podium.
Well, okay, I see he did not say that he wanted to speak. Okay, I apologize. I wasn't sure if you wanted to speak or not. I couldn't see it.
I'm sorry.
Well, I just want everybody to know that I was 90% deaf, still I am, but thanks to the military, I can hear now, so if you talk about me, I'll know about it. I just come more in the listening mode, but I want to thank the mayor and especially Jerry Arnold. One of my big issues was communications. Being in the military, if you want to destroy a unit or your enemy, get rid of their communications, and that was one thing that I'd had a real problem with in the water issue on 15 Shawnee Drive. Thanks to Jerry Arnold, he fixed my driveway so my wife don't drag when she was in the driveway. And I thank you for taking time to listen to me. The first mayor ever got invited me to come and talk to you, and I appreciate it. And I know I wasn't too nice, but I was mad.
That's all right.
You got over it, didn't you?
Well, I'm glad we could start. I'm glad we could do some things up there to help you.
Well, when they repaved that, they didn't do a good job of it, and I just want to help the city in communications. Something I'm real happy on right now is, as I walked down here, I saw people with their cell phones. Only trouble with those cell phones, and I love mine, we got all our eggs in one basket. If somebody would crash into a couple of cell phone towers or a big plane crash in Buckhannon or something, we'd all go crazy. But I just want to thank you for listening to me, Mayor, and especially Jerry Arnold. He's up there in 2 days, it was fixed.
Yeah.
But now, of course, the neighbor across the road, she has to swim to her mailbox yet.
Well, we
Yeah,
still
like
have,
on 14.
we still have work to do, but
I understand.
I'm glad that we're making some headway.
So
So
I just wanted to thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Suter.
Thank you.
Did you hear us? We said thank you to you.
Okay.
And thank you for your service.
Yes,
Yep,
sir.
and for your
Yes.
service.
One thing you need to tell your children and your grandchildren, the draft's still there. If they need them, they get them. And that's something those children need to know, because when I was a teenager, I knew I was probably going to end up in Vietnam, so I went ahead and joined and ended up not going over there. But I'm proud to serve my country. I'd do it again.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, we have him actually on the agenda first. So, Josh, floor is yours, sir.
I guess I'm just here to discuss some issues I've been having with my backyard. The city just went ahead and put me on the agenda. I have some pictures here I could pass around. If you guys like to see some of the issues and some of the progress so far. I have a 24-inch storm drain, city storm drain that runs through my yard that predates my mother growing up in the house, and she's 63, so it's pretty old and in bad shape. So what it's been doing is allowing water to come up in the yard and water to leave and take dirt with it, causing lots and lots of sinkholes. My mother owns the home. I'm living there. She's scared to death of liability issues. I mean, there's kids all around the neighborhood. Anybody could get hurt. We've been talking with the city off and on for a couple years about it. They came last spring, did some work. That didn't really seem to do the thing, because a lot of the holes just opened right back up. I marked them. They came a couple weeks ago, did some work. That didn't seem to do it. More opened back up. I ended up falling in one and getting hurt while mowing my yard. Came to the city again. Now they've fully excavated my backyard along the trench line. You can see in these pictures. So hopefully we can get it fixed. We think we found some of the issues that can band-aid it. I mean, the only real fix is to completely redo the storm drain through that area. So right now we're hoping to have it fixed and remedied. Talking to the city, because there is a storm drain at the rear of my property. It's not really a storm drain because it's on a bank. It's set there as a pressure release, so when the water comes down, has nowhere to go, it comes up and floods my yard. So my backyard is completely unusable due to flooding, swampiness, and sinkholes.
Where's your property located?
178A Camden Avenue. All right, so right now we're hoping to get some of that remedied with the sinkholes, but one of the other large issues is how much it floods, where the city has a pressure release that is designed to flood my yard. We're talking now, they're saying I may be able to fill my yard if I can get my neighbor to also fill her yard, because the problem would be if I fill my yard, that means the water would run from the city onto me, then onto them, and I would be liable for their property because I ran water on them. So right now the city is running water on me, so I'd like to ask for some help with the city with filling. If they're agreeing to let me fill, to possibly, we have a lot of projects going on through the city, Spring Street, all around. No lack of fill material right now, and I have a use for it. I mean, like I said, it's been 30, 40, 50 years that my family's been dealing with the flood issues in this yard. Usually they just the water would blow up out of the ground, then they put the pressure release, which was just a storm drain, so the water can come back up. So, the city is well aware of the problem, why it floods. It was designed to flood my yard, so it doesn't really seem fair. I'm more than a block away from the flood zone. I'm nowhere within even the highest, rarest flood zone according to FEMA maps. But my yard was chosen to be the designated flood area for the city. So, if we have any of the engineers, I was just out there yesterday, that want to come comment on that.
Jerry, are you out there?
Maybe. What's the question?
You don't want this one.
So Josh has just basically given the council a synopsis of where we've been and where we are.
Yes.
Do you want to speak a little bit about yesterday and last couple of weeks?
We uncovered the pipe. It's a 24-inch cement pipe. The pipe is in very good condition for the age of the pipe. The problem that we found in the pipe was someone being not the city of Buckhannon, knocked a hole in the side of the pipe, put a short piece of 4-inch pipe in there in about a 6-inch hole, and it was taking material into it, causing holes in Josh's yard. So we have remedied, we've taken that short piece of pipe out, we're patching the pipe up, we're going to put clay around it, line the pipe with filter fabric, and solve the problem of the pipe taking soil away. So we're fixing that. That's what I was telling Josh. And then in conversations with both Jay, which Jay's here, and Vincent about filling, again, Josh is exactly right. We can't turn water over onto other people's property. As far as that being a detention area, it's a low spot in the topography. And when there was the property owner downstream back in whenever filled the property, it created that dam effect, and he's exactly right. There has to be a relief on the storm drain, or else it will blow the pipes apart whenever the river's up and all the head pressure coming from upstream or up from the higher elevations up Route 20. But that's kind of it. He summed it up pretty well, I think, as far as the fix. Like I said, we're working on that to fix that perforation that was made, and I believe that will take care of all the problems he's been having with small diameter holes going into that storm pipe. But again, there was no huge caverns underground. It was isolated to an area. What would you say, Josh? Size of both those tables maybe put together?
Yeah. Well, it's that and some of the seams, because they're like six foot section of pipes. Because these are large pipes, so back then they could only put together so big together. And each section, they're kind of concreted together. And there's a lot of them I have pictures of. You can see the water running out of them. That's kind of causes a lot of the flooding effects and keeps my yard swampy, because water just comes right down through the pipes and runs underground into my yard. And then whenever it floods, it comes right up the pressure release, which is a manhole designed to be a pressure release that floods my yard. So, and they placed it uphill from my yard, so it's 4 feet above my yard, running downhill into my yard. So raising my yard would be the only fix to keep it from flooding. And I would think, as we talked, I can't fill my yard and run water on my neighbor because that is illegal. They could sue me. But the city is able to flood my yard, and I have to just stand back and take it.
You're saying the city
I
flooded
don't
your
think
yard,
the city flooded the yard.
Yeah.
The city placed a pressure release designed to allow water to back up and go into my yard. if I would do this, so that's basically the city designed water to flow into my yard. So that's what we're just asking to help remedy that problem, which the only way to do that is to raise the elevation of my yard to the same elevation of the alley, which is a few feet.
So ultimately, this water is coming from the river?
The water is coming head pressure. The storm drain in my backyard, the pressure release drain, runs upstream all the way to AutoZone, which catches the water from the gully uphill behind AutoZone, the church. So it's catching water from Route 20 and each street and yard all the way down. So whenever the pipe gets full, it's a 24-inch pipe in my yard. Once you get behind my yard, one close to the river, where Eugene Suter owns, that pipe wasn't put in by the city, it was put in by him. So it's not actual pipe and it's smaller diameter. So when that pipe fills up, you get head pressure, which the only place that has to do is shoot out into my yard. So, I mean, it's just, it kind of leaves me with, you know, unusable property and property damage. Because below my yard used to be as far back as my mother remembers, used to be a big gully that ran from Camden, where our house is, all the way to the river. Well, the property behind ours was filled in and they built a trailer court. Behind that is the city's water department, which they filled that in. So it made a damming effect. The water can only hit the ground because the city has filled in all the property behind me, except for my property.
Well, again, you know, I don't think the city filled all the property. That was the natural drainage way. And the property that Josh's backyard is the head, essentially, of that drainage way he was talking about, that ravine that ran to the river. And over the years, he's exactly right, there has been filling taking place downstream. Most of it done by property owners to, you know, to make their properties usable. That part, I agree with, but again, it's part of the natural drainage way. You know, we didn't originally turn water onto Josh's property. It's run on that property.
Oh yeah, well, from storm drains.
Well, from day one, like I said, being the natural drainage way.
Yeah, I mean, there may have been a creek there at one time, but now there's no natural creek. It's all run through man-made drainage.
So
But that's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right
So
now.
what you've done, you're doing everything you can, and what for the city, you're mediating the
Remediate the
Right.
problem.
Right.
Immediate problem. We're doing everything possible
Right.
to fix the pipe and to stop these holes from developing in Josh's yard.
You said it was a FEMA pipe? Somebody said that?
No, I'm within a block away from the highest point of the FEMA flood zone marking. So it's not natural flooding. I'm not in a flood zone. It is allowed to flood through a pressure release.
There's two properties there, Josh's backyard and the neighbor's backyard. And again, you know, if those, we're not opposed to, once the pipe is fixed, to medium fill taking place there to make it more usable. But again, as Josh said, you know, you can't just raise your yard and the neighbor take all the water.
So we'll have to work with the neighbor also.
Exactly. And that's, I can't imagine that not being something that they would entertain doing, is to work with him in the project of trying to get that backyard, you know, raised. Again, if it comes to our alley level, that's fine. I think that's kind of what
Well,
Jay.
the alley back there it's not really, in several places, like as you go up more toward Taylor Street, it's got quite an elevation on there, so it's not like it's not a drivable, what I'm saying is it's not a drivable alley right now.
No, it is an access.
Yeah.
We're calling it an alley, it's actually a right of way.
Yeah.
So, but yes, so that's where we're at. I think is, you know, we'll continue to work on the project and get this completed, and then, of course, we'll work with.
Well, I appreciate yesterday when we had you know, everybody was up there putting their heads together, and I appreciate the immediate response, basically, of getting a crew there on the spot to start working on the yard, just to uncover what was under there and try to start on this remedy. So I appreciate, that we were responsive on an immediate time frame to try to get this, work, because we've gotten the conversations to a head. We started yesterday. I appreciate that we're working to a solution.
Has a neighbor been involved in the conversations at all?
She is a rental property for her, so she doesn't live there. But her backyard is unmowable also because it's just a swamp, so she would be, I'm sure, ecstatic if there was a way to fix it. Would she want to pay to fill it since it's a rental property of hers? Probably not, because it's not anything she's ever going to use.
Well, we need to get her involved in the conversation.
Yeah. Well, the thing I would like to, one thing I'd like to add first is immediate. I would not even use that word. I've been trying for years.
I'm basing this off yesterday's conversation.
Okay. I'm
We
just
literally had a conversation and you got action as of yesterday.
Okay, I'm just saying I have pictures and documents I've been asking for years for a fix, and I've been contacting the city for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it wasn't until I had to make a scene that everybody decided they were going to come.
We've had crews up there several times, Josh, to address issues.
Well, I'm just saying, but nothing was ever actually done to fix it. They just came in and poured gravel in my backyard one time, and they said, oh, well, it's fixed now, and then 2 weeks later I fell in a hole. But to go back to the filling the backyard, I mean, yeah, that'd be great, but, we all can agree we know why the backyard floods. It's because there's a pressure release there in a drain. So all I would like to do is ask, I can get equipment to level the yard if the city could help obtain some fill for my yard. Because that's a big cost. And then again, my neighbor, it's a rental property for her. So it's only an income property, so is she going to want to pay to have anything done to her backyard? Probably not. So that would mean if I want to fill my backyard, I want to have to pay to fill her backyard also. So I'm just asking for some help with these huge incurred costs I'm going to have. We all know how much excavating costs to have somebody do it. I'm willing to have somebody come in and do the excavating work. I just need help acquiring the material.
Well, we'd have to see reports from, we can't get into that kind of thing anyway, but
It gets into real legal problems with that, including the use of public resources for private benefit. You can't.
Well, I'm just asking for the city to fix what they're damaging.
But we did do it. It's a natural.
No. It's not natural because it's a man-made drain, and they place a pressure release at
Which the city did not install. I think that's a point that hasn't been made here. Originally, the city did not install that drain.
Who's installed the
Whoever
drain?
owned the property when it was installed. The city did not install that drain that is failing. The city inherited it as part of the system. The city has been trying to fix it. The city did not install it.
Okay, but what about the pressure release that was installed?
That has to be there.
I'm just saying it was placed there within my lifetime. So, and the drain has been there for 3 times in my lifetime.
Well, we'll have to take.
That's all I'm just saying. I'm just asking for help to fix.
We'll have to take.
Jerry, what would happen if that wasn't put in?
We would have, as Josh had said, where we have separation of those cement pipes, those cement collars, with that head pressure. Again, when the river gets full, that's all the water it can take.
Right.
And that is the drainage way.
Yeah.
So you have elevations like at where the water tank is located. You have all that draining into that basin. That is the drainage way to the river.
Right.
Okay, so it's going into storm drains underground so that people could utilize their property upstream. It's going into storm drains underground, and it's going into these 4-foot sections of concrete pipe that have a bell at one end, and the pipe slips into that bell. Well, those bells are grouted in. They have cement grout around them. And whenever you get head pressures, that's what Josh was saying about he observed some water leaking from around the bells. Without that relief valve at all, they would blow apart. Whenever the river got full, you would have that head pressure slamming against that full pipe, and it would blow those pipes apart underground, causing a catastrophic failure, which could result in a huge cavern underground, as Josh was saying about sinkholes and all that. It could result in that. So, there had to be some way to relieve that pressure. So that's why, and whenever it was installed, that pressure relief was put there. And again, it's in the natural depression area of the topography. That is the lowest point. That backyard area is the lowest point in that system between there and the river because of the way it was, again, filled downstream and just because of the nature of things. So, with that being said, they're seeping. Those seams are seeping. We are regrouting them now that we've got the pipe exposed to try to keep it from taking soil in from Josh's yard. And again, that's what I was saying about the clay. The clay is kind of another way of sealing. You don't put fines around that because any crack in a pipe can take in those fines. Same thing, same scenario we had on Spring Street with the sand entering the pipe. It'll carry that sand away, develop a void, and then the void will crater in. The top of the ground's got to settle. So that pressure relief has to be there to keep the pipes upstream from completely blown apart. And like I said, naturally, in that area would probably be one of the areas that would. And because of that basin area, that was the most logical at the time, whenever it was installed, place to put that.
When do you think that was done? 85 or 86?
I do not know, Dave. I don't know what the age of it is.
My family's owned the property since the 50s, and they remember it done in the mid-80s.
Yeah, I mean, we had the great flood here in 85.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with anything Jerry's saying. I mean, yeah, the pressure release is most likely needed because if it wasn't there, it's going to cause property damage to somebody else's property. And the city doesn't want to cause anybody else's property damage. But to do that, to keep causing other people's property damage, you're causing my property damage. So I'm just asking for help to remediate that, and all that takes is fill.
Well, I think the ball is rolling.
I mean, just
We
the
are.
It can't be called natural. If the city of Buckhannon ever built a water plant and filled in downstream, my yard would flow just fine. They filled in a giant ravine to build a water plant. So, I mean, there's nothing natural whenever man came in and done all this excavating and changed it.
You're talking about the whole country then?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, we all know this is the reason it's flooding my yard and my yard is damaged. I'm just asking for help to fix it.
Well, I think the ball is rolling. I think we are committed to working on this, as Jerry has said, and we are committed to finding a solution. So I think we are working toward. I mean, the ball is rolling. We have started this process, and
several times that I would have to seek legal counsel to get it done. But I mean, if I want to have to pay for a lawyer and file a lawsuit, then that's basically the same as me just paying to find a bunch of money to have the yard filled anyway. So I'm just trying to save my family from incurring all this cost from something that's not our fault.
You've made your point, and we'll take it under advisement.
Right. So, I submitted a permit middle of last month, and just wondering if there's been any answers.
Was that the fill
on
permit?
The fill and the excavating to remove or fix any other broken pipes in the yard.
Okay, well, the fill permit, we won't approve until the neighbors on.
Okay, but what about the rest of it?
What broken pipes, Josh?
There's several other ones we talked about that was at the rear of the property, and just that much water being on my property, and we found other pipes running on there. I mean, I just want to check and make sure if the neighbors are running any more pipes or if there's any more pipes crossing me to attach into the city that they're not breaking, because anything back there is going to be extremely old and most likely either terracotta clay pipe that's going to be leaking at the seams, very old brittle plastic pipe, or cast iron that's most likely broken. I just want to repair it, so if we do fill, we're not going to dig through 4 feet of dirt to find a broken pipe. We can do it now whenever I'm not asking the city to dig it up. I will rent my own equipment and do the work.
How about this? If we, again, we're going to check that one pipe that you were saying that you found was I think a 4-inch.
Yes.
That was running into, we're thinking our storm. Again, one of the things that I'll mention is that property owners a lot of times will run pipes from downspouts, basement drains, those kind of things, And if they know there's a facility that takes that, such as our storm sewer or sewer line, a lot of times we don't know that they're perforated and they've run their own lines into them, essentially. You know, that, we find those all the time all over the city because, you know, from years and years and years ago, back in the 50s, hey, I've got water in my basement, I need to get rid of it, there's a storm drain there, so I'm gonna run a pipe to it. And so we find those all the time. So we know that Josh has encountered one of those that runs across our sewer right away towards the storm. So we'll dig that up as well and make sure of that. The only problem I have with the, I guess, investigation on your property would be as long as it was contained to your property. You know what I mean? It's not encroaching onto the rights of ways of our sewer line or our storm sewer.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I just
You know
want to dig on, and I will not cross the right of way. If we find anything, we'll call you in so you can repair, because with anything you said within 15
within our right of way.
right away, the city has to repair. I just like to have my yard, like, there's no way you can even drive a vehicle into my yard. It would sink. I mean, I've seen large trucks go back there and can't make it back out. I mean, it is a swamp. So all I'm asking is the ability to repair my property.
Well, I'll tell you what then, go ahead and submit for just that. And then as far as the total fill of your yard, when the neighbor's on board, we'll approve the total fill. Okay?
But how would we know exactly where the right of way is?
Have to research it.
We can, well, the one is exposed, so I can tell you 7.5 feet from the center of that pipe,
Okay.
either direction.
I know there's a sewer, I just don't know where
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, we can pretty much tell you where that right of way is.
Okay, well, that's what I was just saying, Ty.
But yeah, let's do that,
Those
let's do
things
that.
can get worked out.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
any council will work all that, all right?
Well, I don't know, I mean, that's why they placed me on council, because I just keep asking and nobody's answered me.
Well, that's because we have Jerry Arnold, who is the department head and the experience and
I'm
knowledge.
just saying, I didn't ask to be here. They told me to come here because I asked for all this information and it was never given to me. I've been asking for information for weeks and I was ignored until the point I kind of forced it legally. I asked for a Freedom of Information Act, which requires the city to give me certain information, and I did, and that's when they put me on the, I mean, if you're going to put me on the agenda, I will come. But I mean, this wasn't me putting me here. This was me asking for information and asking for help.
You can come anytime, you don't have anybody's.
No, I'm just saying, this was me asking for the city's help, and they say go to the city council meeting. So, I mean, yes, I know I can contact Jerry and Buck Samples and other people, but I have been, so we're just trying to, you know, I'm just trying to go through all the processes. They tell me to come here, I came here.
And you've explained your situation, and we're going to be working with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, will there be any determination on when an answer could be made on that?
About providing fill?
Yeah, with helping, repair the property.
Like I said, the line, yes, but I can tell you I can't provide you fill.
Right. So, I mean, like we discussed with the city engineer and have discussed with the attorney, I cannot run water on somebody else's property. That is completely illegal. But we're all agreeing the city can run water onto me.
No, I don't.
Well, it's a facility that was in place, so it's a grandfathered facility.
Well, so if I fill my yard, the water is not coming from my property at all. Right?
You're
The
not
pressure
going
release
to
is on city
resolve
right-of-way.
this evening.
Well, I know, I've been trying for years.
Yeah, but give us an opportunity to work with you in a reasonable period of
Well,
time.
like I said,
Well, so I'm responsible
Stop,
for the
I'm
rain?
not talking about it. I'm not talking about it.
I'm responsible for the right. He just.
All right, listen, okay,
He
listen.
can't make a comment
Listen,
like that.
listen,
We're
listen.
not going to reward bad behavior. Your belligerence in city hall the other day, when I'm in my office and I get my wife's listening to a scanner and said, "We need police at city hall." That was your behavior. And now you're here belligerently demanding us to take some kind of immediate action to resolve something that's been in place for how long? 60, 70 years, or predates the purchase of your property?
It does not predate the purchase of my property. This has been in my family since the 50s, since the house was built.
Well,
We tried to
there you
extend that
have it.
yesterday.
So if you think you're going to stand there and get what you want by
No, I'm
behaving the way you're behaving, I think you're mistaken.
How am I behaving irrationally? I'm not screaming, I'm not cursing, I'm asking
I guess you're
relevant
just being
questions.
yourself.
Well, that's really professional. I mean, I don't understand what I did.
Look, I think the point is that Josh came.
I mean, you're being pretty irrational.
All right, let's stop, okay? Please, everybody stop, all right? You came here to present your information.
I was asked to come here to present.
Right, you have presented your information. I believe we've been pretty clear that we are committed to working on this and finding a solution. So let us work on that with you, and we will continue down this path. It's not going to be fixed this evening. It's not going to be fixed tomorrow. But let us have an opportunity to work on it. You were asked to resubmit a permit. Let's do that. We will continue to work with you, and we will continue to. I was up there yesterday. I saw the progress starting. We dug up a huge portion of your yard looking for pipe. We will continue to do that. We will continue to work with you to try to rectify the situation. That's all we can do for this evening. There's nothing on here for us to vote on. We've heard the concern. I've seen the concern myself. Yesterday was my first time in your backyard. And I think, progress was made. I think progress will continue to be made as we continue to work through the situation and find the solution that's best for everybody. That's all we can do. That's where we're at right now.
Well, all I'm asking is everybody keeps saying we're going to try to, we're going to work with you, but this is not a last week issue. This is a multiple year. I mean, this has been half of my mother's life dealing with this, asking for help, and
we
just
can't
keep
change
told
the
the same
past.
thing.
We can only move forward.
I know.
So,
I'm just trying to get more of a concrete, like, okay, I don't want to say we'll get back to you. Meet with me, set up a meeting, and say, okay, we're going to reassess this in a week. We're going to reassess this in 2 weeks. We're going to see, what we can do. Because if somebody just says we'll get back to you, that's just open ended. That's could go on indefinitely.
You want a definitive answer tonight, but you can't.
No, I don't want to defend it. I just want somebody to say, okay, we'll reassess this in 2 weeks, and we'll see.
We're going to work with you and with your neighbors also. I mean, I don't care whether it's a rental unit or not. We have to watch out for that individual also.
Well, I don't want to hurt her property anyway.
Well, I'm sure you don't.
Yeah.
We don't want to hurt your property more. So give us, if you don't have any satisfaction within, let's say, July the 1st, and you get upset, then go forward. Period. But I think we're going to work with it.
But you can't put a date when it starts.
No, I'm not asking for dates. Sorry, I'm just. I don't want this to be an open ended. Be like, well, we said we were going to work on it.
Mr.
I want
Hanchman,
continued meetings.
Mr. Hanchman, sir, I have faith in Jerry Arnold and his crews. They're going to be working forward.
Don't disagree. I just want to make sure that this
They're
doesn't-
knowledgeable in this, far more knowledgeable than me, maybe not you, but far more knowledgeable than me. Let's let him work on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll reevaluate in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. All right.
Thank you.
Say hi to your dad.
Yes.
All right. Even though he's already just in here, it is time for Jerry Arnold's report. Oh, Evelyn, that's right. I'm sorry. Evelyn, you're up. You wish to speak to council? Thanks for coming, Josh.
This will be a quickie. It's just a concern I have, and I don't even know there's anything the council can do about it. I live directly on the river, and there are a couple speedboats that are far exceeding the speed limit. And I'm talking about full throttle, maybe 35, 40 miles. When the bow goes up, they're going pretty fast. I lived on the bay all my life. My concern is when they come around the bend and they're going fast, if there is a kayaker, somebody's going to get hurt big time. Because by the time they get around the curve with their bow up, they're not going to see that kayaker. So I don't know what y'all can do. I don't know that there's anything that can be done. But there are particularly 2 boats that really speed up the river. There are another 2 or 3, they stay within like 5, 10 miles an hour. That's not a big deal. It's the ones that really speed. The end.
Are they older or younger?
River, or that's, even though it's in city limits, I mean, is that?
Well, I don't know.
Well,
You
I
can
mean,
put
y'all
speed
don't have
limits
signs on the river
everything,
or,
Well,
I apologize, Evelyn. I was supposed to bring this to council, and I totally.
Oh, no, that's okay. I had to come a long time ago.
Okay.
But I was taking time to observe to see if it was just like a 1 or 2 time deal.
Right.
But this has been, what, about 2 months, and there's particularly 2 boats. The 2 that go by, they go by so fast, I can't tell if they're young or old.
Can you take a picture of them or have somebody take a picture?
I will try.
Get their number off the boat.
Well,
Can't see
I'm
it.
not that close, Mary. I'm on
Get
my
your
point.
binoculars. Don't you do the bird watching still?
Oh, yeah, I could, yeah.
Okay.
I could do that, or I could try to take a picture of the boats.
On any lake.
Oh, yeah.
There's a certain.
There's a wake zone.
Wake
No
zone.
wake zone.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
know that we have those actually in the river. I don't know that those are in the river anywhere. And
I thought when I first moved here, there was a sign by the college where the ramp is. I thought there was a sign that said 10 miles an hour on the river. I could be mistaken.
I think you're
DNR,
right.
maybe the Department of Natural Resources.
That's what you say.
I remember people water skiing on the river.
Now, I haven't seen that one.
I mean, there's too many logs in there
Yeah.
that you crash.
Yeah.
And you know, some of these people, I mean, I'm assuming they use the ramp on and off at the college, but some of them are going around that bend. Our house is across from the soccer field. So we have the 2 curves. One that comes like to our house and then one that goes to the college. And some of them, they're going pretty fast when they're going around that curve to the ramp. And I'm just waiting for something to happen. I will try to take pictures. If I can get pictures, I will certainly bring them in. If I can get a license, they're supposed to have a license on their boat?
Yeah.
Is there any particular time of day you notice this?
No, different times. I hear the motors. You know, from living on the water on the bay, I can hear those motors.
Right.
So, you know, once they start, but I mean, they get not too far from the college, and boy, they just rev it.
Are you from
I see
Jersey?
it. No, Baltimore. Baltimore, did I say it right?
You said Willard, so that's why I asked.
Water. Yeah, my boss used to say, what are you getting a drink of? Anyway, that's all I
I
have.
think it's something we just need to research because I don't know that any of us really, I don't know that we know. I think we just need to,
Mayor,
yes, Jay?
Mayor, it's Jay. I just got off the phone with Jim Walker with the DNR in French Creek. She will need to call the DNR in French Creek, ask for law enforcement, and she can be pointed in the correct direction.
Do you have a phone number? She's got a pen in her hand. Do you have a phone number by chance?
Okay, I will get that and I will deliver it before she leaves. I'll call Jim back and get that number and then bring it to her.
Okay, what's the rest of that? DNR French Creek?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna bring you a phone number.
Yes.
Jim well, he's
Well, he goes
with
by
law
James.
enforcement.
Yeah.
This is Walker lives
Jim
on.
Walker. He's the biologist.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yep.
Department of Natural Resources.
You know, like I said, there's really, you know,
Okay.
the river boating is different. I don't want anybody to get hit, killed, or run over.
They don't think about it.
And I don't know what y'all, no, they don't.
Yeah, they're not thinking about it.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Evan.
Okay, now I think we've gotten down to, sorry, I almost skipped you. I think we've gotten down through our list. That's right, you're here to keep us all in line. Let's see, Department of Public Works, Jerry Arnold is up.
Make it a good one.
Hello again.
Hello again, how are
Hi,
you?
Jerry.
I didn't do a written report. The only thing I've got is same projects we were working on last time. I will tell you that the transportation grants will be submitted Monday. That's the deadline for those. Region 7 will submit those. They've got all the information, so they'll be submitting those. We did have a bid opening, if you want to cover that, Mayor. It's down in your strategic, but we had a bid opening for paving services. We received one bid from Cooper Asphalt, and just to run through it, it looks like about somewhere around a 20% increase from last year, or not last year, I'm sorry. It was bid out year before last. We were operating under last year's contract in 2020. So really not a huge increase in pricing, but we're at about, for material delivery and installation of tack coat is $3 a gallon. Material delivery installation of hot mix asphalt base course $122 a ton, and material delivery and installation of hot mix asphalt wearing course, $129 a ton, mobilization fee of $1,500 per job, and surface milling, that's a new one, we didn't have that in our last contract, at 50 cents per square foot. So again, about a 10% increase over the last 2 years is what we ended up with, and it's still pretty decent pricing for the market.
What's the total?
Well, I don't have a project specified days. We kind of started doing this a few years ago so that we wouldn't have to bid every, if I've got say that we have an issue on a street that has to have a new sewer line put in it, that's not on the paving list this year, then they would demo the street. I could call them in on this bid, kind of similar to what the state does, with their contracts. So that's kind of what we do. We put it out there that way. I will say that the streets that we have talked about, identified, that we're looking at doing is Gum and Lincoln, the upper part of Lincoln, up around Lincoln Way, Latham Street, and we'll be doing some work on Whiteburn Street as well. That's the ones that we have identified. So that's all I have, Mayor, unless there's questions.
Just for everybody's knowledge, we had a nice get-together this afternoon that Jerry organized to say goodbye to Jeff Lumsley, who's retiring from the city. Tomorrow is his last day, so it was nice to see so many city employees gathered, sending Jeff off. The council and the waste board together, we presented Jeff a real nice desk clock with his name engraved on it, wishing him well. When I opened the remarks, I said, my goodness, either Jeff's very well liked or everybody just wants a free meal. I'm not sure which. But
the food was awesome.
It's a good meal.
Food was good.
Great
But
meal.
CJ, thanks to CJ and Randy and Mary for coming as well, and thanks to Jerry for putting that on. I think Jeff really was moved by it. We started out with Waste Board this morning, and I think the board brought him to tears a little bit. He'll probably get mad at me for saying that, but he had some personal friends and family there as well. So, but Jeff's a good guy, and I know the city's going to miss him. He'll, as we're going to start to get it. Not that we haven't started already, but we're really getting into some people now that's really tough to think about replacing. And we've long enjoyed a very dedicated group of folks that have worked here to make Buckhannon what it is. So we thank Jeff for everything that he did, and Jerry for orchestrating the party and getting the laughs going this afternoon. So some stories were shared. So,
But I would be remiss if I didn't say that I want to congratulate Jeff on his retirement from here, and one of the most trustworthy, dedicated employees that I've had the honor of working with. And again, congratulations, Walmsley. Enjoy it. I hope to join you here in about 4 years.
No. Denied.
That's all I have.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll raise the age. Move the goalpost. All right.
Do you want to do that action?
Oh, Jerry?
Yes.
Well, CJ, sorry. Are you looking for a motion that we approve the street paving bid result?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a motion to that effect?
Second.
Motion and a sec. We have a motion by CJ, second by Pam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Pull a jack.
Like, sign opposed?
Yeah, I saw.
We're not sure about you, but motion carries. Okay.
I'm used to being at the waste board meeting where I don't have a vote.
That's right. That's right. Okay. All right. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks,
What's
Jerry.
that? Yeah.
Somebody just made a phone call, I don't know the gentleman's name, but they said that there's no wave restrictions or anything, so there's nothing that can be done.
Oh.
Okay. Well,
So I'm still gonna call.
okay. Sounds good. Thank you. Amby?
Hello.
Hello.
I might mention,
Hello.
Hello.
I thought I'd be friendly.
How you doing, Abby?
How are you?
I might mention that you noticed on the agenda we had a public hearing in the beginning, and of course we didn't have the public hearing, it was canceled. And I might mention that's because we didn't meet one of the, PSC sets a lot of deadlines when we're going through these rate increases, and we have 5 cycles of bills, and that very last cycle was being worked on at 9 o'clock Friday night, and we did not get it in the mail, of course, no one was there. So we realized that and decided we'd be best just to delay the hearing for 2 weeks, and we'll have the hearing on June the 17th at 7 o'clock prior to council meeting. So I wanted to mention that. We're going to be mailing out another notice to customers, letting them know when the hearing is, and actually with this, since we're mailing out this notice separately, we're going to include just a little bit of information about the rate increase and why we are seeking a rate increase. Okay, so your balances for May the 31st, general fund, money market, and checking, $853,154. We still have the CD at $86,093. We've booked a little bit of interest in some of these savings and CDs. Historic landmark savings, $3,026. Fire truck savings, $38,424. Stalker Youth Capital Campaign, $428,352 plus the $12,000 pledge is $440,352. Coal tax, $58,366. Municipal Stabilization Fund, $814,736. Flood control, $9,392. Consolidated Public Works Board, $181,113. Sales tax, $1,680,706. I want to mention that we are in June, and we need to bring the remainder of the sales tax money over that was contributed to this budget. And so we're going to have a deposit in this month from sales tax of $804,000. So just a heads up, unless there's a lot of projects done and expensed for, and I don't think that's going to happen, not everything, that we're going to come into the new year with a healthy balance on hand, that we will need to reallocate some of the funds. And we can talk about that again. Your May revenues was $203,032, and your expenses $508,716. We're still undergoing the fiscal year budget June 30th of 20, ending June 30th of 20. Everything's going well with there. There's grant reporting seemed to be the big topic. There was a lot of changes through legislature there, and that's much more detailed and in-depth than we've ever done for grants. The bills that I want to point out to you that we paid for the month of May, $1,200 to the Upshur County Deputy Sheriff's Association for profiling class for the police department, $1,700 to Steve Wyckoff for a vehicle for the police department that was needed for one of their projects, $1,587 to Heritage Fire Equipment. It was the Truck 11 Annual Aerial Service, $3,899 Kreitz Electrical Supplies for the bay lights at the fire department, $5,290 Single Body Experts Stairmaster for the fire department, $6,533 to Wilson Glass Works for the mezzanine aluminum that was installed at the theater, and $144,000 to the Buckhannon Lodge of Knights of Pythias for the purchase of property at 65 East Main Street. Agenda, and then we also have a few things about the American Rescue Plan that we have down there too. And yeah, that's about it. A few things down at the bottom.
Any questions or comments for Amby?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, Chief Kimball.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Hi,
How's
Jerry.
everybody this evening?
Wonderful.
Beautiful day, wasn't it, after it quit raining?
How are you doing?
Peachy. You're looking good this evening.
Hey, buddy, thanks.
Yeah, you need to shave a little bit, but yeah, you're pretty good.
I knew I forgot something.
In your packet, you'll look there, the month of April activity is in there. We had 116 calls for service. Out of that, 65% of that was in the city, 35% outside the city, either assisting other agencies or in the first due. Year to date, we're 415, which is up 16% from last year. If you remember, we had kind of a low because of COVID in April and May, but we're up 16% from last year. And that trend year to date is 63% in the city and 37% outside the city in the first due and outside in the county. We did have an accreditation meeting mid-May. I think it went well. We went over the category 1, some of the government stuff, just bullet points of where we're at as we go through the 11-step process of the accreditation. We will be having another accreditation committee meeting in June. I think it's June 23rd. It'll be here at City Hall. We'll be talking about the planning part, some training stuff, and some other stuff of where we're at. With that being said, we are also trying to work to update our fire district map. So we, after July 1st, in my next year's budget, I have for GIS mapping where we can, it basically breaks up your district and you define the zones as what type of response, whether it's commercial, residential, urban, or rural type. That way it makes it easy for us, but it also makes it very easy for the 911 system. So if you call from a specific address, that box will pull up and it gives a specific response. So there's no question of who goes and what goes. So that'll make it a lot easier for everybody all the way around. We did have Friendly Way Day on the Friday of Strawberry Festival, and we also had 3 members. One of them was Steve Thacker, who was our Friendly Way Day person that we also awarded 30-year awards to that have retired in the last year because of COVID. We couldn't really get together. Thought that was a perfect time to do that. The mayor attended. Usually on Fridays is our annual event. We cook steaks. We were down this year compared to 2 years ago. We had 43 people eating steaks at the firehouse on Friday at Fireman's Parade, and this year was 31. But we had a good time, good togetherness, and getting everybody together was great after a year of not being able to do that.
I'll let you cook steak anytime. That was delicious.
That's my annual. I cook the steaks, and everybody eats them. So we'll just say that. So they're very good. It's hard to. We got one of those new Blackstone cookers, and they're awesome. It was the first time myself cooking on it, but I went and bought one for myself. And it's weird when you got people like Jerry Wilfong where you just throw it on there and flip it over and he's ready to eat it, and then you got people that want it completely well done. So you gotta, it's strategic, So you gotta really plan it out. So also met again this week after we had a meeting the night or the day of that fired Adrian for civil service, and I couldn't attend that for obvious reasons. We had another meeting this week to update. We're updating the civil service handbook. There's just some stuff in there that's old, and the codes have changed, and we're working on that. Amby and I are, in the next couple weeks, we're going to sit down and just come up with a list, present it to the staff and the Civil Service Commission, and go through everything and make sure everything's kosher and by the code. As Amby said, finishing up the budget year, I think we're pretty well on track with everything. I got a couple expenditures that I'll probably make tomorrow that'll probably finish up anything unless we have some sort of emergency stuff. I'd also like for you to look in your packet. I'm going to scroll down here and find mine here. And I'd like, we've been talking about different ways. We have a recruitment committee now that consists of 3 people in our organization. And I presented that plan to Amby, and I think she sent it. Did you send it out to everybody?
I can't say 100%.
Okay.
I meant to, but I don't know if it
They got together, myself and 3 other people, and we talked about different ways to recruit people from the community to become volunteer firefighters.
What are we looking for here?
You'll be looking for these right now. the list on it with the outline. I had gave that plan that we went over last week to Amby. I'll make sure that you all get a copy of it. This here is quarterly timeline and responses from our volunteers. The one that's sideways was the first quarter of the year. I want you to look down through there, and everybody has darkness. I'm colorblind, so I can't really tell what color it is, but the dark shade on the right-hand side, they have, the volunteers the first year by unanimous vote determined that you, in a quarter, you have to either respond to 20 incidents, or for every 2 hours you spend at the firehouse, you get 1 incident call. So in that quarter, you have to attend 20. So you either have to make 20 calls or a combination thereof, calls and time spent at the firehouse. So when you look at that and you go down through, we'll take Justin Boggs, for example. He responded to 121 incidents. This is the first quarter of the year, and spent 303 hours at the fire station. And you continue down through there, I mean, all these members are contributing time. When you look at Derek Long, you know, several incidents there with 388 hours spent at the firehouse. You know, 40 and 50 hours spent at the fire. These are volunteers that are covering our fire station, ready to respond at any given time. The next one is what's going up to this quarter. We still got 30 days left, and the same thing on the right-hand side. Everybody in the shaded areas have made the 20 already. So, you know, I don't have my glasses, so it's tough for me to read, but just like Justin Boggs again, you know, 70 incidents and 341 hours at the firehouse. Travis Dean, you know, 29 incidents, 26 hours. Alex Ellis, you know, responds 44 hours at the firehouse. Then you scroll down, Derek Long, you know, 105 hours at the firehouse. And then you got 50s and 40s. Those are a lot of hours training and covering our fire station. And I'd like to give kudos to all those members for doing that. As we go through the year, you know, we're training a lot. We had Randy was at a training session last week where we called in 2 departments to come and train with us. We're going to do that again in 2 more weeks, 2 separate fire departments. It's just hard when you have 20 people. If you got 30, it makes it a little rougher to do. So we're trying to keep focused and get what we need done. Because we're learning, you know, these departments are responding with us. There's just some things when the ladder truck, whoever gets to hook up to our ladder truck, very few departments. So when it does happen, we want them to be able to understand how to operate under those circumstances. So, and if we don't train together, people won't know how to do that. So, but I really want you all to key in on the hours that our volunteers are spending training. As we go through at the end of next month, or the end of this month, we'll have a mid-year training, how many hours we have and stuff like that. And we're also going to get ready to move into the ISO recertification. So I've been just kind of getting things together. Captain Bax and I have worked on that. Lieutenant Bax and Captain Elmore and Captain Davis are working on some of that stuff to get that stuff together. So, any questions?
On your monthly detailed breakdown by incident type,
Okay.
when 911 dispatches these calls, you have these three numbered codes on the left. Do they say it's a 444 or?
No. No, those are when you put them in NIFRS, which is National Fire Incident Reports.
After the fact.
Yes, that's where they go in. So when you look at the building fire, it's 111, and different types of fires are in that 111 area, 112, brush fires, dumpster fires, vehicle fires. They just have a different number. And that's how they're categorized.
So when they dispatch you, or 911, they just say.
Yeah, beat, station
name.
1, respond, structure fire. You know, and sometimes you may get it as an outbuilding or it's a residential or commercial building. But when we put this into our reporting system, you have to put, you know, the building, how many stories, square footage, you know, how much was involved, the whole 9 yards.
Does any time that you go out, you get multiple incidents on one response? So, I mean, I guess what you're saying, if you have a car accident and is there any cases where you get 2 responses out of 1 incident?
No.
So
Not
you
for
just
us.
take the primary issue and...
Yes, if we get called to a wreck with injuries, that's a 1 incident call for us, and whoever mutual aids us gets that too.
And so if you have a 352 is extraction, a victim from vehicle, but it's also a motor vehicle with injuries. So I guess but you're just claiming you're just claiming it as an extraction.
Yes, yeah. It's a rescue type incident, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can I add one thing there real quick? Also, if you were, so what you're saying is what we found on scene?
Yes.
Right. Not dispatched.
They always don't match what you get called to.
Well, that makes most sense.
Yes.
You know, I wonder if that's how they call it out to you. You know,
They're just disseminating information that they get from a call, and they may get 10 calls, they may get 1.
to the same incident, 10 people could call it 10
Yeah,
different
if
things.
there's a wreck, typically if it's a high-risk call, they'll get multiple calls, like the fire at Adrian. They probably got 50 calls on that. And normally a dispatcher will say, we're getting multiple calls. That actually tells us, hey, we got something truly going on. But if it's out here on, say, quarter H, and it comes in as a wreck, and you ask officer, how many calls have you received, and they say 1, you're kind of wondering, you know, where'd that call come from? Because there's 50 cars went by. Cell phone, everybody uses their cell phones, you know that, so, yeah. Anything else?
I had the privilege of, as the chief said, going out to the training exercise that they had with the Washington District and Bank District. And it was really, really interesting and eye-opening to see them all work together, and the firefighters from the other departments, from the volunteer departments, were just soaking up the information. I mean, they were really, really in tune to Captain Baxa and to the chief, and at first you could tell they were a little...
They're kind of out of their...
Right, out of their element a little bit, you know, and just kind of not sure about, you know, the hydrants, the hookups of the hydrants and different things. And but once they got into it, and then they put the ladder up, the wind was blowing a little bit, so it didn't go real high. But they became very active and very became interactive, and they asked a lot of questions from what I saw going on there.
The thing you'll find out is, you know, outside of our district, there's not a lot of fire hydrants. So a lot of fire truck operators outside of our fire department don't get a hook to fire hydrants very often and get that, you know, education on and how much it flows and what you can do with it. So that's what we're kind of doing right now, because typically if we have to operate the ladder truck, that's a pretty bad fire. We have most of our people operating the operation of trying to extinguish the fire with hoses and stuff. They may have to put one of their people in the bucket with one of our people to assist with that. So we want them to understand, feel comfortable getting in that truck. And also, if they're flowing water to our ladder truck, we want them to feel comfortable and know what to do with that. So.
And I talked to one of the chiefs, Chief Roby. He was very appreciative of the cooperation between the departments too. So kudos for what you put together.
June 16th, it'll be Adrian Fire Department and Elmore.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and I'm going to get a story out too very soon, you know, on that.
We've got 9 instructors, correct, in our fire department, which is beyond excellent.
Yes, for a department of our size, that's huge. Yeah. There are no other certified West Virginia instructors in the county. So we have the instructor base, and they're, you know, looking at future. We've talked about, you know, a training facility at some point, which would help everybody. You know, just future plans and talking. So.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions for Chief Timble?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Captain.
Okay. I don't know if Tom has a report or if he wants to
He has
defer.
something on
You want a report?
Yeah, let me just mention one thing. I received a phone call the other day from council to Community Bank over occupying the old firehouse property. There is a concern on their part that there may be an encroachment on an alley in that area. We're kind of trying to get to the bottom of it. I think the encroachment may have begun when the firehouse was constructed, and in any event, I think there was something going on with the church and a survey that had been done with the church that may have revealed this. So we're still in the information gathering stage, but we'll keep you posted.
It was a right of way.
I'm sorry?
It wasn't the church. It had the alley.
Yeah, the alley on.
And then, and I remember because I was on session there during that time frame. But they also, for as long as the bank was going to be there, they give them, because they needed more space, but that alley is, should be a one-way, not both ways.
It's a public alley, or
it's a public alley, yeah.
It's a public alley,
Yeah.
so we've got, so they may be encroaching on, the bank may be encroaching on the public alley, but it may have predated the bank. I don't recall, did they tear down the firehouse
No,
property?
they
Because
built
just-
over
Yeah, yeah, so I think when the city, I'm sure, I imagine the city built the old firehouse there, the city may have initiated the encroachment when it built the firehouse, and then Community Bank kind of inherited, that as a successor in interest to that property. So, we may need to figure something out there.
Well, I think therefore, I think they kind of did an agreement or something about that.
Who did the bank and the church?
The bank and the church.
Yeah, but if that's a public alley, we need to be involved.
I don't know if it's a public alley though.
Oh, it might
No,
just be right
it's
away.
it was. I think it was between the church
Okay.
and the fire department.
It seemed to me the council for the bank seems to think that it might be a public alley, or at least it appeared on
No, it
some map.
wasn't.
Okay,
No, it
all right.
wasn't.
Well, they're supposed to be
I don't
getting me
think-
some, no, that's right. They're supposed to be getting me some surveys and other information about the issue that I thought may have come in before the meeting tonight, but it hasn't yet. So I thought I'd have more to tell you tonight, but I don't.
It's all built up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just keep us posted.
We'll keep you posted. Yeah.
We're going to have a 14-day limit on this. Get back to us about
CJ.
There is so much.
It took me a couple of minutes on that one.
You guys.
What's that figure there now, Tom?
You could have said a lot more, right, Tom?
Oh, I could have said a lot.
Okay.
Moving on.
Doesn't surprise me.
Correspondence and information. We have several things. There's a notice of public hearing, City Council Ordinance 451 that was supposed to be this evening, as Amby alluded to. It's not until the June 17th meeting to get the letters out correctly to everybody and allow enough time. We have a letter of intent to the Department of Highways, Transportation Alternative Recreation Trails Grant application. This is for the walk trail system. Letter of intent, DOH, Transportation Alternative Grant, Morton Avenue and Locust Street sidewalk and lighting projects. Jay, do you want to speak to either of those since you, or?
Oh, yeah, real quick, Mayor, those applications are having the finishing touches put on them by Region 7. I got them the alignments. Sorry, it's been so long I forgot. I finished the engineer's estimate and the site plan alignments for those two projects, as well as the estimates, and sent those to Region 7 so that they could finish up the grant application. Those will be sent off probably on Friday. Tomorrow.
Yeah. All the way
Imagine
till
that.
tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks,
Don't
sir.
go too far.
Yeah, I'm going to stay right here.
Okay, then down through here we continue. We have a deed property purchase 65 East Main Street. That's the Knights of Pythias across the street. That closing officially took place 2 Fridays ago, I believe. Then we have a letter from the CVB City Representative. Appointment is vacant. We have several appointments, as you'll see under the consent agenda. as we know, the city appoints folks as of the July 1st term. So instead of appointing people right this second and then have to redo it again July 1st, we're going to work on appointing new folks as of the July 1st term, since we are so very close.
What day will you do that?
Well, we'll do that the first
First meeting in July?
Yeah, that's the goal. So that is, of course, to make sure everybody that we ask is agreeable to, and we can find folks. So, and that they respond to us in an appropriate amount of time. But and many of these boards will not meet between now and then anyway. So, but we do have that. Request for professional surveying services, city surveying services project.
Yeah,
Jay?
that's what I came in here to talk about, Mayor. I just need your all's blessing or approval because there are 12 or 13 FEMA lots that need to be surveyed and identified where the property corners are. And then there are 3 recently acquired properties that the city's acquired over the past few years, not counting the Knight's house, that we would like to have surveyed so that we can, for the FEMA buyout requirements, those property corners were to be identified and surveyed, and we just need to do that. Now would be a good time. The bid package is prepared. I just need to know if it's going to be okay to send that out next week to the surveyors.
Is there a cost associated with that?
Yeah, I'm estimating, because we tried doing this almost, CJ, exactly 4 years ago, and it came in a little over budget. And at the time, each of the properties were $1,500. So, added a little bit of inflation over the past 4 years, and then just a little bit of contingency money. I think we can get it done for less than $25. And then additionally, in the bid package, if it does come over that price, then I have 4 deductive alternates of properties that we could take out strategically to bring that project back under budget.
Is this a retroactive requirement by FEMA? Do you need
No, it was part of the original thing.
we didn't
should
have
have
it
had done. That the property corners were, identified, and also it will allow the people that are using the property or that are adjacent to the property to know where the property corners are, and hey, this is city property now, and you can't be just parking stuff and planting stuff, and because it is limited because of the way the funds were used to green spaces, parks, and restroom facilities to serve those parks. I mean, that's all these properties, the 12 or 13, not the 3 additional properties, but the FEMA properties have certain restrictions as to what they can be used for. So that's what I was coming here for. I'm thinking that we can do it for just over 20, just under 25, but if it happens to come in over, we've got some ways to get the project back under budget. And Jerry said, Jerry, I wish he wouldn't have left, but the reason we were putting this out is because there was some extra money, not lying around, but there were some extra monies to get this done, and we knew we wanted to do it 4 years ago, so we quickly put this together, and that's what I'm presenting to you all.
Sounds good to me.
We have a motion.
Well, I don't think that's it.
Well, it says here, request for professional surveying.
Second.
It's under correspondence and information. Can ask it's not under
How can we
strategic
take
issue.
action if it's not down on
Hey, Tom,
Yeah, it should have.
I think that's just a misprint on the,
Well, if we, depending on what Tom's opinion is.
Right.
It's only a month. Well, it's only 2 weeks.
this line item here, the request for professional surveying services, I think was actually supposed to go under G. It is officially on the agenda.
It's on the agenda,
Are you okay
yes.
with us?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So moved.
the second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mary, we have a second by CJ. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Okay, continuing on, just as a point of note, everybody probably knows by now, but the wastewater, sanitary, and public works boards monthly meetings have all been changed from 4 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. We had our first waste board meeting this morning. And honest to goodness, I wish we could move them all to morning. We just, you know, it was good to get started to get the meetings out of the way.
Yeah.
So it was good. So
I do want to note I Google searched last evening how to set an alarm clock.
Oh,
I had no idea.
it must be nice.
Question about that, but I'll ask you after.
What'd you ask me now?
Look, all right. Was that voted on, and what's the rationale?
Yes. At every single meeting, it was voted on, and it was
Okay.
unanimously passed by each board member.
Why?
All of the directors of the board, of the departments arrive between 6:30 and 7 in the morning. And there are some things changing with, you know, my ability to be able to do 4 o'clock meetings. So I asked each board to consider it, and Tom also asked that if, as long as we, even post-COVID, continue with allowing the online, which we will, this is not going away, folks can participate online.
Okay.
So
It's just, that's sort of what I thought, but I just wanted.
the Thursdays remain the same, so if it went waste, water, sanitary, consolidated as far as through the month, same dates apply, just moving from 4 to 7:30.
Okay.
So,
Not all of us are morning people.
too bad.
I know. Okay.
Not all of us stay up till, you know, some of us are at council past our bedtime. So,
That is true.
that's CJ, not me. Okay. We have a request, a zoning, which for the Evolution Bar for reform to the WVABCA. So that's in your packet. And then finally, we've got a notice of special planning commission meeting as set the other evening for June the 15th at 7 p.m. to discuss possible uses for Madison Street, which is the former Chase drive-through. Planning Commission met on Tuesday evening, June the 1st, and had a good meeting, and they want to be involved with helping to determine the uses, potential uses of the Madison Street property. So Madam Chairwoman Susan Alloy and other members have agreed to hold a public meeting on, of course, the Planning Commission's public. I mean, all of our meetings are public, but this meeting will be concerned specifically about the Madison Street property. Do you want to add anything to that, or you're on the Planning Commission?
The city architect has agreed to be there and present the information and that we've developed to date with a few meetings, and just hopefully we can come to some agreement as to what we're going to use this property for and get the plan and begin the demolition and preparation so we can get this job completed in next construction season of 2022.
Was it the planning commission that's come up with the ideas, or is it just
No.
Bryson?
Up to this point, I asked the city architect to take a look at the property. We had a couple of lunch meetings with the mayor and Jerry, Amby, Randy, the city architect Bryson. May have been some other people there that I'm not recalling. And it was just basically a conversation. The first meeting there was a little dissension among what we wanted to do. Then it kind of consensualized that the building didn't really represent a value. And then the Bryson developed a plan with 2 parking lots, a lot of green space, with the primary distinction that the area on East Lincoln Street, kind of no more driving through, and that space gets given back, so to speak, to the neighborhood. That it gets converted to a green space, a park. It could be a pathway for bicycles or sidewalks, but that
Look more residential.
Yeah, and not, you know, not having these cars and traffic going through there. It's still an open plan. Nothing has just been a conversation up to
Talking
this
about the
point.
actual street of East Lincoln?
No. You know how the drive-through goes from Madison to,
Oh, okay.
so no more cars shooting through there.
Right.
So it could be that area would kind of restricted between the two houses.
Okay.
And there's also an interest in a potential property swap with the backyard of the one house, in giving that, they would give that to the city, that we would trade equal square footage on the side of their property, and that would allow us to kind of square it off. Right. Between the back corner of the Economic Development Authority Latham House property to the back corner of the house on the other side. But, you know, my intention was to try to get to some consensus agreement, because it's been sitting, you know, we haven't done anything yet. We don't know what we're going to do yet, and if you don't know what you're going to do, you probably don't do it. It doesn't get done. We want to get this done by we're having an international event in our community, and this is going to enhance the event space of Jawbone Park significantly. Probably more than you wanted to know, but
It's okay.
No, I think that's good, CJ.
You've been the most involved with it so far, so thank you for your efforts. And we will invite the public on June the 15th at 7 p.m. right here.
Oh, is this big enough? I think this would be big enough for a town hall meeting?
Well,
you might want to consider it down.
We could. I'll talk to the Planning Commission, because they're the ones that set it up, so if we'll talk about it.
I think, my own personal opinion would be the public's.
Isn't there like 15 people in the planning commission?
It's not that big.
I think there's 9.
9.
Yeah, but that could.
Okay, we can work those details.
I think we should, more the merrier.
We can work those details out. Okay. Under the consent agenda, we've got the approval of the regular meeting minutes of May the 20th and a special meeting on May the 17th. Approval of the building and wiring permits, approval of the payment of the bills. We received a letter of resignation from Shauna Jones on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and then we received a letter of resignation from Susan Beath on the Gibson Library Board. I've spoken with both after I received their letters, and thank them both for their service to the city and to each board so far. And then, like I said, we will work on getting a new slate, updated slate for the 7-1 fiscal year. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? We have a motion by Mary, second by Pam. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries. Under strategic issues for discussion or vote, we need to delay the third and final reading of ordinance 451. As you recall, we need to have a public hearing on that before we do that. So we will delay G1 to take place on June the 17th, following the public hearing that will be that evening as well. We have already dispensed with G2, G3. We've got an agreement from West Virginia Wesleyan College to display art at the Colonial Theater Gallery. Amby, do you want to? Tom? Oh, that's sorry, Tom.
Yeah, what you have is a model agreement that's going to be used for not just the agreement with Wesleyan for this event, but it's going to be used for any donor agreement or lender agreement, I should say, for the display of any third-party art down at the Colonial Theater. So, you know, I drafted the agreement. Bryson kind of put it into its form that it is now, and it's my counsel to the city council that that agreement will adequately protect the city, in addition to acquiring relevant insurance policies to display and protect the works of art that will be displayed pursuant to those agreements.
No, Wesleyan is loaning Art 26201 is going to frame some of the artwork for Wesleyan. In exchange for that, they're going to loan it to the Colonial Theater to display from, I think it's June the 11th to July the 5th, I believe. And it's private works and from some well-known artists, so it's a little different than what's been in there before, so they wanted an agreement on, there's a security system up there now on the protection of that, and just an agreement on what roles are from between
Are
the
these Wesleyan grads or something that's done the art?
This is stuff that's been left to
No.
Wesleyan. Some of them are pretty famous artists.
Yeah.
I move we approve the art exhibition and loan agreement as presented by Tom and Bryson.
Second.
Before, we'll have discussion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
The only, I think it's a good idea. The only concern I have is that oftentimes when you have a public property that is displaying art, oftentimes there's a lot of complaints about some of the art that's totally inappropriate. And I don't know if that's been considered or not.
Well, if I can, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Well, I can, go ahead, sorry.
Pam?
What about, what if somebody would break in there and destroy something or destroy something while it's open? Whose responsibility is that going to be?
Well, just to preface my answer to that question, there has been a security system installed and the art will be displayed behind protective plexiglass, basically. Now, there is going to be insurance covering that art during the time of its display. And the insurance policy is intended to cover acts of vandalism and theft. Doesn't cover accidental stuff, and that's why the plexiglass and other protective means are being undertaken. But it will be, the insurance policy will cover theft. I could speak to Dave's concern. That reason is why you have established the theater board, to be a forum for concerns like that are expressed, but also to be kind of to delegate those functions to that body to deal with those questions, so that the council does not have to get drug into debates over the nature of the art that is being displayed.
Yeah, well, I know there have been other areas where, depending on the age that would be able to go into the display, oftentimes was very inappropriate for children to see.
Well, then we get into, again, that's why the theater board exists, is to field those, to manage those concerns.
I'll be very interested.
I have one more question. Who's going to be paying for the insurance?
We are, the city is. It's $500.
It's $500 policy. The premium is $500.
Tom, who would you have a form here that if it is approved,
Yeah,
requires a signature?
Yeah, I think the mayor should
The
sign
mayor.
that, although,
Okay.
The council can really designate anyone to sign it, but the mayor is the individual that makes the most sense.
Lucky you. Lucky you.
I could approve the art. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion on this? We have a motion by Rylands, a second by Bucklew. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Motion is carried. Okay, now we get to the Ambi show. G4. As we discussed a little bit in a previous council meeting, we're back talking about the American Rescue Plan, and we really need to have a separate checking account for those funds. We do not want those funds just dumped into our general fund. We need to have them separate so that we can account for them and make sure that what is expensed out of there is absolutely correct, and that we in no way have any opportunity to miss anything. So Amby has done some research and has suggested that we open up a checking account for the American Rescue Plan at Citizens Bank of West Virginia and use $500 to open that account. We do not have the money yet. The money will be forthcoming, but we need to have an account ready for the money to drop into. Also in the approval that we're asking for approval for is that I, as mayor, be authorized as a signer, as well as the director of finance, of course, Amby Jenkins. Amby, do you have anything you want to?
You said we are required to, we have to put it in a separate account. We have to keep separate fund accounting on it. Everything has to be kept separate on this account.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Sanders. We have a second by Mrs. Allball. Is there any further discussion? Hearing the need for none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion has carried. Okay. We have the approval, we have a resolution that we do need to have signatures on. This is resolution 2021-05, and this is relative to the property purchase of 65 East Main Street, which is the Knights of Pythias property. As I've previously stated, the city, with City Attorney Tom O'Neill, myself, Amby Jenkins, Jay was here, Jerry Arnold was here, and we had a closing 2 Fridays ago tomorrow on the property, and it went very smooth. It was a very quick closing. Members of the Knights of Pythias were here, their legal counsel from Clarksburg, and us. Are you leaving us?
Yeah.
Okay,
Little
goodbye.
typo there.
While a typo is being corrected, is there any discussion on this before we call for a question and roll call?
What are we doing this tonight?
We're going to wait.
We have to fix one issue
Sorry about that.
as far as
Freudian slip there, huh?
No,
there's an incorrect name on there, and we can't have it signed by the person, so we just have to fix it real quick.
So you gonna fix it?
Yeah. But it's just a small technicality.
Yeah.
What we're looking at here is the resolution. Yeah.
I'll just get you probably at
Yeah.
the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, all right, very good.
It is a roll call, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and ask for a motion.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion is carried. I will defer to Mr. Recorder to do the roll call.
Okay, Mr. Rowlands.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Rigger.
Yes.
Mrs. Allball.
Yes.
Mrs. Bucklew.
Yes.
Mr. Sanders votes yes. Mr. Skinner.
Yes, sir.
All right, unanimous.
Okay. We'll get that signed here in momentarily.
Momentarily.
Okay. G6, we have a budget revision. This is revision number 7 for the fiscal year 2020-2021, and I will defer to Amby.
I wonder, Mayor, do you want to bring G7 about the City Hall landscaping up first, because I have it built in the budget?
Sure.
And if you don't want to do that, then I can pull it out of the revision. That way there's
Good call. Thank you.
Okay. On the approval for City Hall landscaping, I've been getting complaints, of course, about City Hall's landscaping and general appearance of City Hall here. The shrubbery's overgrown, and we need some of the media, stone media instead of the mulch media, just things like that cleaned up a little bit. We really didn't have funds before. Highland Nursery had always been in the past pretty good about just coming by and doing a little quick cleanup for us. I think they actually originally installed it, so I asked them for a quote to pull out some of the overgrown shrubs. They're going to leave some of it, replace some of the media, and the cost of that would be about $5,000, $5,008, I believe it is, if we do that, if you want us to go that. It'd be pulling out all the tall bushes here, the dead bushes.
You're hanging out over the sidewalk.
Yes, it's a jungle.
I move we approve the city hall landscape.
Or people.
Okay, wait a minute, before we do that, did you say that this is part of the budget revision, or, so do we want to take action on this first?
Yeah,
Okay.
then
All right,
I'll
okay.
it is in the budget revision.
So Rylands and Bucklet, right?
Let's do Jack.
Yeah, Jack
Okay.
is in.
This was, but just,
Rigger Rylands, let's put it that way.
yeah, Rigger Rylands. Rylands Rigger, sounds like a law firm. Councilman Rigger has brought some of this to our attention, and we appreciate that. He has been looking at some of our city facilities with a very detailed eye, and he had sent myself a message, as well as Amby and Jerry, and Jack and I had a conversation about it on the phone, and I think he talked to Mr. Sanders as well. Jack requested that we have this as a line item and draw our attention to it. So here we are, and so appreciate Councilman Rigger his work on this. And so we've got the motion and we've got the second. If there's no further discussion, we'll call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I have some.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The quote was for $5,000. Does that include the installation and so forth of the new landscaping for
Yes.
city?
Yes.
Yes, it's taking out the old, putting in the new stone, and replacing that. We have mulch on one side and stone on the other, and it used to be all stone, but it kind of just, it's overgrown.
And what kind of plants did you get to see them?
Yeah, actually, they're leaving some of them. They're going to just pull out the dead ones and replace them with the same type of boxwoods. And the burning bushes, instead of 2 feet, they're probably 8 feet tall.
Yeah, they'll just replace them
So,
and start over again.
yeah, they're pretty grown up. And then there are some dead ones. And so they're replacing with the same thing, basically.
Because a lot of times with burning bushes, you can cut them back pretty severely.
Yeah, they weren't cut back. They're beyond cutting back.
Okay, that's all I have.
While we're on to talk about that kind of thing, we also need to have city guys to mow this strip of property right next to the, right there.
Yeah, I know that they just started an updated mowing crew. They just hired a couple more. In fact, I'm putting another one out here tomorrow. Yeah, we need some mowing done.
That's good. The mayor's been mowing. He's a little tired.
I was gonna say, you can mow that right out there.
Yeah, about a 3 foot strip back.
I think that needs a weed eater more than a mower at this point. Okay. Any other comments or questions relative to G7? Okay. Now, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
He already said aye the first time. So, all those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, now let's move to G6.
Okay, you got a general fund budget revision, number 7, resolution number 2021-06. This should be the last one of the year unless some emergency crops up. So here we go. This budget revision is for a total of $222,120. I'll go down through the expenses first, and then I'll come back to where the revenues are going to, and some of the expenditure line items are going to cover it. So we need to put about $6,000 into the mayor's office supplies. When I'm reviewing it, some of the unexpected expenses out of there were tax sale proceed fees, credit card fees, because more people are paying online now. We've noticed that, which is great, because that's really less handling on money than us. It kind of goes through much quicker when we're doing it this way. And Datamax, where they've picked up some of the city license that people owed, so we have to pay those fees out of the mayor's office, line item number. Events and fireworks, I do have the $100,000 in there to the WAMSB 501c3 contribution. I have in engineering and training, I took out $500. That's not needed. He's not going anywhere, I don't think, this month.
Not this month, no.
Okay. Data processing and capital expense, I reduced it by $3,000. I was going to get some computers, but that's not going to happen. Everything seems, I'm waiting on printers, and now this has been under order for 3 months, I think, and I still don't have them. Everything's back ordered, I think. City Hall janitor insurance, adding $520 there. City Hall utilities, I can reduce it $5,000. City Hall capital expense, the $5,000 for the landscaping. Street department utilities, I had to add up another $1,000 in there for the new building. There was some issues with the gas usage there that I think has been finally resolved. Snow removal, I removed $6,000 more from that. We aren't going to have any more snow removal, I'm speaking of that. Gateway West grant program expensed about $20,000 more than we expected. That's for the sidewalk and lighting, but the grant is covering this. We get reimbursed for that. Yeah, the line item was off, I think.
Oh, the line item. I was going to say, that project's so far under budget.
The budget, yeah, the whole project is way under budget. It's the line item that I'm trying to clean up. Stalker group insurance, I'm reducing it by $20,000. Stalker basketball, $15,000. There was no programs in 2021. Stalker fundraiser, of course, they're not holding a fundraiser. They didn't do it at all in 21, so I'm taking that $5,000 out. The $144,000 for the building across the street. So in theory, the Stalker budget helps supplement that. I was able to increase their revenues $94,900 because they collected more in those after-school fees. And then, like I said, I reduced $20,000 out of their expenditure line item for group insurance, $15,000 out of their basketball insurance or line item, and $5,000 out of the fundraiser. So, in theory, a lot of that was supplemented with the Stalker budget revision. Then in revenues, like I said, the $94,000 added for the fees that we collected more than we expected, and then the B&O, $97,220 collected more in B&O to cover the expense, and miscellaneous we still have a surplus in there of $30,000. So revenues $222,120, and then the expenses $222,120 balances that budget. Then you're going to have those other two pieces of information, the resolution, that's a roll call resolution, and then the item that goes to the State of West Virginia Auditor's Office where I break it down in line items numbers so you know exactly what it's for. They only care about if it's 409 Mayor's Office, 420 Engineering, 439 Data Processing. So they're summarized there in detail on my list. Any questions?
I'll make a motion, we approve it as a resolution.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Thomas, we have a second by Mr. Rylands. I believe with this, it's a resolution, so we need to have a roll call vote yet again. So we'll go ahead and call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed.
And I'll abstain because of my involvement in Wampy.
So we'll let the minutes reflect that all council members are approving this except for Mr. Sanders, who is acting in abstention. So I will defer to you for the roll call.
All right. Mrs. Allball.
Yes.
Mrs. Bucklew.
Yes.
Mr. Rigger.
Yes.
Mr. Rylands.
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Sanders abstains. And Mr. Skinner.
Yes. Okay. We can sign that one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We each have to sign that.
Now let's spend some money here.
Okay. All right. We'll start that way. So I still have a meeting to do. Okay.
Yeah. Do that.
G8, we had last Thursday, following Consolidated Public Works Board meeting, we had a joint meeting of the water and sewer boards, and it was a very good meeting in which we had a lengthy discussion and an involved discussion about how to allocate the funds that we will be receiving from the American Rescue Plan. As we've previously discussed in other council meetings, these funds are specifically earmarked for the city to use toward improvement projects that are relative to water and sewer infrastructure projects. So I will defer to our city engineer to walk us through the proposal. For council's reference, it is in the back of your packet, let's say about 10, 12 pages from the end, has a G8 on the top of it, and you'll see the figures that Jay has come up with. And these are projects that include both sewer and water together for us to consider.
Thank you, Mayor. What you have in there, as the Mayor referred to, are three alternates of how to approach expending this nearly $2.4 million, just under that. The sewer department has identified three projects, two of them being sanitary sewer projects and one of them being a storm project. The sanitary projects would be the Taylor Street upgrade of with a cost of approximately $451,000. And the North Locust Street upgrade, which is the area where Tenney's Market, Rake's Dairy Queen, and the Record Delta are located. It's a smaller project, but it is a necessary project due to the system's condition in that area of nearly $178,000. And then they've identified one storm sewer project, which is the Taylor Street upgrade, which ties into possibly the Henchman issue that was discussed earlier. But please keep in mind, on a storm sewer system, you have to start at the low point and work your way up. So this project would start at the river and actually work its way up that direction. But it has an estimated value of $544,000. Likewise, Kelly Arnold came up with a list of 7 water projects with the Tennerton water storage tank and the pressurized tanker truck rental that's associated with that, a new building for the Tennerton booster station, new chemical feeders at the water treatment plant, as well as filter media at the water treatment plant, a new chlorine alarm, and replacing some detection equipment at the raw water intake, the filter beds, and at the water treatment plant. The reason there are 3 scenarios is because with this $2.4 million budget, if the city was to do all 10 projects that the 2 supervisors came up with, if you look at the bottom line, we're $315,000 over. So option 2, which is on the next page, I asked them if we had to take out projects, identify projects that you would like to have removed. The sewer department elected not to proceed with the North Locust Street sanitary sewer project upgrade, and the water department decided to forego the chlorine alarms and the replacing of the filter, raw water, and settled NTU detection units for the water department the water department projects, and that brought the budget down to where we're just $5,000 over. I think that's a number that we could, more easily absorb. Out of the $2.4 million, we'd only have to expend $5. However, and Mr. Sanders, you can, enlighten or expound on what I'm about to say, but we also came up with an option that if we were to approach the county commission about sharing the cost on the water department's Tennerton water storage tank rehabilitation project, it's a nearly $685,000 project in itself. But if we split that cost due to the location of the water storage tank and the number of customers that the city uses and the number of customers that the Adrian PSD uses, which falls under the auspices of the Upshur County Commission, if we split that cost even 50-50 worst case, then that brings the budget in under budget by nearly $79,000. So that's what we're looking at. I just wanted to show you that there are 3 options that we can follow. We would, hopefully be able to approach the county commission soon, and I believe that we are, Mr. Sanders, and explain to our reasoning and our side of the story as to why we think splitting the Tennerton water storage tank rehabilitation project would benefit not only us by allowing us to use more of our ARP money, but it also would allow them to use more of their ARP monies elsewhere. Not a lot, but $345,000. It can go a long way. So
what's the ratio in regard to the water usage by Adrian versus the?
Well, about 10% of the city customers make use of the the Tenderton water storage tank, and that includes the high school, the state police, basically everything from Stony Run Road south to the Adrian Master Meter Pit just past the state police, and 90. So it's almost a 90-10 split.
So it's really, doing a 50-50 split is really very advantageous.
Yes,
for the county.
it's advantageous to both parties.
Jay, what's the Taylor Street upgrade in the stormwater sewage in all three proposals?
The
544,000.
Yeah, 544. That's, CJ, like I was mentioning, that is actually upgrading the storm system that starts at the Buckhannon River, goes across Wood Street, through the storage yard of the water treatment plant, through Eugene Suter's, what used to be Eugene Suter's trailer court, all the way up to Camden Avenue, and because we then got to take it across Route 20, but it's an upgrade of that storm system, which is undersized at this time.
Storm system we were
Yeah.
talking about
we
this
were.
morning.
That's a Hitchman property also. Right?
Yes.
So it would eliminate that, and instead of being a blow off, it's going to take it, extend it?
No, because that area is naturally low lying. That is where all the water from Victoria Hill, Route 20. I haven't determined the complete drainage area, but there is a lot of water that comes through there, and that is the low lying area. Even if if the fill wasn't there, yes, it would have drained. But given current conditions, that's the low-lying area.
So we'll still have we'll still have the river relief point.
Yes,
but this is just a.
We would like to relocate it if at all possible, next to Taylor Street, and catch as much. Now, what makes that problematic, Mayor, is it would have to be deep, because Taylor Street is so much higher than its current location.
Right.
Because just like with the sanitary sewer, you put the storm sewer strategically located near low points, which are drainage systems, creeks and stuff like that, to make sure you catch everything. So by elevating it, by moving it to the Taylor Street side, you're looking at 8 to 10 feet extra excavation. So, it's still in the preliminary design stages. It is conceptual truly at this point.
Can you set us? You have capacity to go.
Oh yes, we're looking at a minimum size of 48 starting at the river. Quick back of the napkin, I think 60-inch, would suffice. Again, you get to play with different scenarios. You study hydraulics, looking at multiple systems, but a 48-inch minimum pipe would what I'd be looking at, and or Sam and I would be looking at. But as it gets closer and closer to Route 20, i.e. it goes upstream, those pipes can decrease in size because it's not carrying as much drainage. It's as it makes its way towards the river that it collects more and more from our streets and from our houses and from our driveways, that the volume of storm runoff increases. So it's a project we're looking at.
And to follow up on what Jay had said, I've spoken to two of the county commissioners, and they're open to listening to our proposal. They have still not determined exactly, how they're going to be spending their funds. And as Zambi said on another time, that's their business, and we'll let them, work on that. But our next step, and I guess we need to put that on the next agenda, is to officially prepare a letter of request, consideration, and then have a request to appear on their agenda to request this assistance in that water tank rehabilitation. So,
And how can we approve something that isn't decided on?
I think we go ahead.
I was going to say that we approve that these are the projects that we want to focus on, how we work with the county on a couple of them. I think that's what Mr. Sanders is saying, that the next council meeting, we will just choose which of these proposals that they all have the same projects. It's just, do we want to utilize? Do we want to work with the county commission, which I think we do? But if that's not on the table, then we need to come back to the drawing board and figure out: are we going to allocate additional funding?
Right. That's where we would have to pull out, Mayor, those 2 or 3 projects that are identified on the second option, and come up with an estimated $5,000 to $10,000 to cover, because it is just over.
Right.
But I mean, you know, we do have a plan. I mean,
Yeah, and I would say, I just want to say, I would caution us not to put this off too much longer. I would say if we can craft a motion here tonight that could encompass it so that we can go ahead and have it sent to Jay and all principals can start putting it out to bid.
Because everybody is going to probably be getting their ARP money at about the same time. All the consulting engineers are going to be secured. All the contractors are going to be secured. We don't want to be late to this part.
Right, which is why we wanted to move quickly to get both boards together last week so that we could identify the projects and be ready to go so that we have contractors lined up and all of the preliminary work ready to completed so that we can get ahead of the game and have things done.
And these are merely estimates anyway. I mean, you know.
I would support the highest one here, the $2,698,412, which is going to require us to come up with $315,507. And then if the county does participate, it would be for just about that same amount overrun, and we'd be balanced then. If not, then we would have to come up with.
Well, you got two other areas that we have some resources for.
Right. And this is the kind of thing that I would support spending money on.
I think it's really important that the split 90-10 with the Tennerton water tank is the county's getting a heck of a deal by us saying we'll do 50% of it.
Right.
They may not see it that way.
Right.
I mean, I'll be just quite frank. I have a whole problem, and I'll support all this stuff, but I have a whole problem with. I'd love to know what Congress was thinking of when they put all this stuff in regard to COVID. You know, look at all the money that they have allocated to the country for things. I mean, we should have been doing this stuff for years. Thank God COVID happened, I guess, because this never would have been identified.
You're the first person to say that, I think.
No, I said it in the water board and the
no, I mean, thank God COVID happened.
And I said in a way that I apologize for all those of us who have lost friends and family members because of COVID. But look at what we're accomplishing now because of that. And it's just, I worry about where we're going as a country sometimes.
Jay, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
What's a pressurized tanker truck?
All right, in order to take
and it's going to cost $85,000 to rent it?
What we have to do, because we would be taking the Tennerton water storage tank offline, and what that tank does is provide fire protection to the high school. We have to schedule this. This is definitely a 22 project because as soon as school is out next year, we would take that tank offline, you know, because all the rehabilitation work is inside. The only other way to offer that fire protection and to provide Adrian with water and the Adrian PSD with water and the 10% of the city along the Stony Run Road that uses that water is either build a new water storage tank, which we don't want to do because that's close to $1 million, or we simulate the tank that we're taking offline and in this case it's going to be 3 42-foot tanker trucks that are filled with water, you know, and they simulate because we pressurize it to give our SCADA equipment and our monitoring equipment and everything that's operating off the hydraulic grade line of this Tennerton storage tank. We're building a fake tank, and that's what the pressurized tanks or trucks are for, is to simulate the Tennerton water storage tank that's going to be offline, so that, you know, summer school if needed. If it's not able to be relocated to the middle school, they could still have it there and still be able to provide water to all the customers, and nobody would know other than, you know, the people involved, you know, and people that are listening tonight and paying attention to the project. But, you know, they'll not see any difference. It's just simulating a water storage tank. We did that last year with Deer Creek. We had to take the Deer Creek water storage tank offline to repair a panel that was damaged. And we rented a pressurized tanker truck to simulate, i.e. take the place of the tank that was offline. So that's all it's for.
Would there be a certain timeline for this? And then
Oh yes, 3 months. This would be the tight one. You know, that's what there's a premium price on that because the gentlemen know that it's a time-sensitive, it's actually less than 3 months, but it's a time-sensitive matter. So, you know, they've said, well, as soon as you get the ARP money, let us know. And I said, well, we have to have it designed and all that, and we'll be involved in that. But, you know, get in line first, because, you know, he's anticipating other people doing the same thing, and we don't want to lose the ability for that contractor to be taken by somebody else when we need him next June.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yep.
Were you prepared to make that as a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion by CJ to accept the proposal that includes the $2.698 million that could potentially have us come in with $315,000, give or plus or minus some dollars, but we will continue to work with the county commission to see what we can partner with them on, and that will reduce that figure.
I'll second.
We have a second by Mr. Sanders already. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion carries. Lastly, we have an approval of the American Rescue Plan checklist of agreements and procedures. This is, I believe, the last thing in the packet, and it is got the expiration date at the top of November 30th, 2021. Amby, do you want to say anything about it, or Tom?
Well, I can. I'm probably smarter about talking about it than I am, but basically there are a lot of hoops to jump through to obtain this money. And the checklist I've included in your packet so you'll understand what we have to do. We have the DUNS number already. We just got approved to do the account to put the money in. We have to request the money. There's other things that you're going to need to do to sign off, such as terms and conditions of the agreement, on understanding how the money's to be spent. Those are included in your packet as well. The reporting that needs to be done, the maintenance of the records, the cost sharing, if there's any conflicts of interest, all of the federal guidelines that need to be abided by, that we are reading up on and studying. Hatch Act is involved in here. There's several federal things stated in this, so it's a federal agreement. The other thing you would do is also you have to sign assurance of compliance with Title 6 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That's listed in there if you want to read it. Tom can probably explain it best. Basically, we're abiding by all the civil rights. But you need to be prepared to approve and have someone sign these. I would think the mayor would sign these. And then
why don't we do?
You'll have to have that.
Go ahead.
I've reviewed the agreement. It's a standard agreement. You're just the city is just confirming that it will not engage in any unlawful discrimination as a condition of receiving these funds. In addition to the Civil Rights Act, it includes the Americans with Disabilities Act and a half a dozen other federal statutes. So it's nothing out of the ordinary, and I can recommend that it be executed.
It's preparing us to request the money.
Okay. Why don't we craft the motion like this, that the council would authorize me as mayor to work with you and Tom to sign the agreements as presented.
You want that as a motion, Mayor?
Yes.
That's what I'll make that motion then.
Okay. We have a motion by Mary. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Jack. Is there any discussion?
I guess you can't hear me.
Oh, no, I didn't hear you. Did you want?
No big deal.
I didn't even hear it. Gotta be quick.
Okay. We have a motion by Mary, a second by Jack. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed. Motion carries.
Let's give the adjournment motion to Thomas.
Okay. You ready to do that right now? Okay. We are down to board member. Council comments and announcements. We'll start with Mary.
Nothing.
Okay. Pam?
Nothing.
On a roll. CJ,
Nothing.
really on a roll. Dave?
There's the end of the roll.
David.
I was gonna make a long one.
walk home.
I was gonna make a long one for Katie Kubia. Nothing.
Yes.
Oh, Katie left?
She did.
Yeah.
I guess
She left,
I guess we're past her bedtime.
Shame on
Yeah.
Pam wants in again.
Pam?
Sorry, I just want to welcome a new business coming, opening, the grand opening tomorrow. Jonathan Clutter, who has Clutter Funeral Home, is opening up a pet crematory, and the grand opening's tomorrow, and it's located behind his funeral home up in Tennerton.
What's the first name?
Yeah, I saw
Jonathan
that.
Clutter.
Jonathan Clark.
Jonathan Clutter.
And that's tomorrow at 2.
Yes.
That gives us 2 crematories now.
Pet
No,
crematory?
it's a pet crematory.
Oh, he's got a pet.
Yeah, the
Yes.
other one's like way out of the way.
Yeah. Most people go to Fairmont
Go there.
now for
There's
that.
one in Alpharetta. One in Alpharetta.
Now we have our very own. All right, thanks, Pam.
Okay.
Jack?
I don't have anything.
Mr. Sanders?
Nothing.
Thomas, motion to adjourn.
All right,
So moved.
ladies and gentlemen, I'd entertain a motion that we adjourn at 9:17.
So moved.
All right, thank you very much.